I want to make a game, but I only have 1 year. Wait, what? I hope you get the joke. Videos about games made in 48 hours or less, my game made in 1 year. Super fun. My game Dashpong is releasing today on Steam and itch. Yay! And I want to take the opportunity to go back on my last year as a full-time indie dev. It's my first commercial release and lots of things happen during the year of development. I want to show you what it's like to work on your first commercial release and also what I did on the side, the game jams, the little projects, and YouTube. I'll talk a bit about money, so if you want to know more, stick around until the end of the video. If you don't know me, I'm MrElipteach. I've been a full-time indie game dev for about 2 years now, and I started game dev only about 3 years ago. Before that, I was a software engineer with an engineering degree in embedded computing. I want to share with you some statistics for the past year. I've participated in 8 game jams. I've made 22 videos on YouTube. I have more than 45 gigabytes of Dashpong footage alone. I've streamed for more than 300 hours. I've made 684 commits on Dashpong's GitHub repo, which is suspiciously low when you think about it. I've estimated spending around 1,800 hours on Godot alone this year. We're now more than 18,000 here on YouTube, which is crazy. My light just fell. Hold on. I've gathered 1.4 million views on YouTube. Thank you a lot for that. And finally, I've started way too many side projects and experiments to count them all. It was a busy year, as you can see, and I'm quite happy with what I've managed to do. So let's rewind a bit to August 2021, when I started working on my game. At that moment, I've been doing game dev seriously for a little over a year. I was at a point where I wanted to work on a commercial game, but I was feeling a bit lost and out of ideas. To remedy that, I challenged myself to come up with a prototype every day, and I did that for 12 days. I have a video about that if you're interested. This was an important experience, and it showed me that I could force creativity by allowing myself limited time to come up with ideas. On day 3, I got the idea for Dashpong. I won't go over it all over again, as I've talked about that in the first devlog. Long story short, I felt the idea was really cool, had lots of potential, and was easy enough for me to work on and bring to market. I thought I could make it in a few months, but as you can see with this video, it took a little longer. After finishing my 12 days challenge, I immediately got to work on Dashpong. This was it. I decided to commit to the idea and work on this game full time. In the first few months, I made lots of progress. I changed the art style from prototype art to something like flat colors, and it was supposed to be better. But we'll come back to that. I was really turning the prototype into a real game, which meant handling the full gameplay loop, adding maps, visual effects, a proper UI, and stuff like that. In parallel to that, I was making videos on YouTube. I posted my first video on March 26 of 2021. At first, I was doing content around Godot, the game engine I'm using. I started with tutorials and also videos showcasing cool add-ons made by the community. On September 1st, 2021, I made the first devlog for Dashpong. I decided to do devlogs for 2 reasons. First, I thought it would be a great way to make myself accountable, and talking about my game publicly like that would help me to not quit working on it. The second reason is that getting your game known when you're an indie, especially with your first game, can be really challenging, and so I thought this could generate interest in the game and attract potential players. This was also a way to share my experience as a solo dev. I really enjoyed watching other devs talking about their creation process, so I wanted to also give back to the community in a way. From September to December, I continued to work on the game, adding more maps, refining the gameplay and the visuals. I also continued making videos, and this is around the time I got monetized on YouTube. I was still not doing lots of views, so it was not bringing a lot of money. In October, I made a game called Jetfire Pack for the Godot Fire Charity Jam 1. It's a game where you control a character with a jetpack that pushes out fire, destroying the environment you're in while trying to escape the cave. You have to be careful to not destroy everything, otherwise you can't escape. On October 26, I streamed for the first time on Twitch. I remember how stressed I was to code live in front of people. English is not my first language, and the thought of having to code in front of people speaking in English was terrifying to me. I'm really glad I pushed myself to do it though, because I really enjoyed it and I continued streaming since then. Not always consistently, but as often as I can. In late November, I participated in the Go Godot Jam 2. I made a video and a live stream for the event, and I also made a small game called Move Move, where you have to constantly move to not shrink to your death. You must complete the level doing some 3D platforming and sometimes use the shrinking mechanic to avoid obstacles. In December, few things happened that were quite important. content, both for Dashpong and YouTube. First, I decided to join the Steam Next Fest that would happen in February. And on YouTube, well, I got monetized not so long ago, as I told you, and I decided to shift the subjects of my videos. I decided I would not do Godot related content anymore and focus on devlogs and game dev / game creation videos. It's also the time I got contacted for my first sponsorship. It was an exciting time for me because my channel was quite small, and if sponsors wanted to work with me, it would help me financially and more than the YouTube ads. This change on YouTube would not please everyone, but I thought it was important for me and for what I wanted to do on YouTube. The Godot community was and is still awesome, but I didn't want to limit myself to that, and you'll see that it was probably a good choice in the long run. I'll talk about the money it made, so stay tuned for that. In December, I also created Sadworm, a physics-based rage game made in 24 hours for the Gotham Jam 11. I streamed most of the process and I also made a video on YouTube. I also created a small VR game for the Secret Santa Jam. It's called Box Day, and the goal is simply to grab the incoming packages and put them on the right conveyor belt. I made this game for an anonymous person, but unfortunately they dropped out of the jam, so I didn't receive any game. VR is something I want to explore more in the future, so I was experimenting stuff from time to time to get more familiar. On January 6 and January 21, I uploaded my first two sponsored video. Is game development easy and game dev is hard? If you're subscribed to my channel, there's a high probability that you're coming from this second video. This is still my most viewed video at around 1.1 million views, and also the one that brought me the most money. I'll talk more about that at the end. I wasn't expecting that video to have so much success, and it really helped my channel grow and got me more sponsorship opportunities. Around the same time, we organized with Lencius the first Godot add-on jam, focused on creating add-ons for the engine. We had 60 entries, so it was a great success. And also the last time I talked about Godot on my channel, I made 2 entries for this jam. GD Console, a console allowing you to execute GDScript inside the editor, and Line Edit Plus, a better line edit node with built-in regex validation. These were my first 2 add-ons, and it was a blast to make them. The community loved the jam and is often asking when will be the next one, so I guess we'll have to organize something. I also participated in the Scorespace Jam 17 with Bomb, a 2D game where you must move people away from Bomb to save them for as long as you can. At the end of February, I participated in the Next Fest on Steam with Dashpong. It was a great experience that brought some attention to the game and also some wish lists. I was not super happy with myself at that moment though, because I procrastinated a lot on Dashpong when I should have been putting the most effort to create a very polished demo. In the end, I had something that was working well, but I was not at the level of quality that I wanted. See, at that time, I've been working on the game for about 6 months. I'm starting to understand that the game is not ready to be released, as there are too many things I didn't do, like special modes for example. Also, I was not pleased with the visuals of the game. It was slowing me down because every time I had to make a choice, I was lost. I didn't know how it should look. I had no direction. This is when it hit me. Dashpong was inspired by arcade games, and what better style than neon to represent that? When I thought about it, it became obvious that it was the right direction I should go in. So I rolled up my sleeves and got to work, redesigning everything. From the player colors, the maps, the effects, the whole UI, everything was changed. The redesign was really exciting for me, and it got me motivated again to finish the game. From February to July, I continued to work on the game, adding lots of special modes, new maps, etc. It was an exciting time because I was adding lots of new things. It was challenging, but very, very rewarding. Every week, something new would be created. In May, I participated in the Tool Jam 2, where I created a tool to manage and download different Godot's versions. I'd love to work on it more because right now it's limited and cannot really be used to manage your Godot's version. I did that because Godot doesn't have such a feature, and because I wanted to do a bit of app development with Godot. It's actually a cool process to create non-game applications with Godot, and there's even an official showreel for that if you're interested. Link in the description. In late July, I created a game where you move only by teleporting to your bullets, called Bullet Port. I made it for 2 game jams, the Scorespace Time Ultimate Arcade and the Gotham Jam 18. July is also the month I created a second channel on YouTube dedicated to Godot stuff. For now, I've just re-uploaded my old content and made 2 new tutorials. During this month, it was starting to be pretty clear to me that I should really be thinking about release. I wanted to finish Dashpong for quite some time, and I knew that if I didn't set a date, I would just continue working on it for a month. I continued to work on the game during summer, and I didn't really take any break, except for a short 4 days bike trip with my girlfriend. I was starting to feel really bad about the game. I wanted to move on, but I knew I had to push to actually finish it. I talked about it in my latest devlog, but I think I got some sort of pre-release depression. I couldn't really work on the game. I felt frozen, unable to do what I had to do. Everything was hard, and each week I was just delaying the work to the next week. It was not helping that I was putting lots of pressure on myself for release. I wanted everything to be ready, have time to do marketing push, contact press and streamers, organize events, and benefit from the Steam push. But it was just too much, and instead of motivating me, it was blocking me. I had to lower my expectations. I understood that the release of my game wasn't that important. It's not like I'm releasing a Zelda or Half-Life 3. I could just plan for a simpler release that I could actually achieve. So at the beginning of October, I decided to announce a release date for October 28th. This was giving me enough time to fix the little things that needed work, but also finish working with the musicians and the artists for the Steam capsules. Fast forward to today, and my game is now released. Whew, what a year. I didn't talk about the little experiments I did on the side, because honestly, it would be too long. I've made some prototypes during live streams, and I've also continued adding stuff to my Godot experiments GitHub repo. Link in the description if you're interested. This was a lot of information to take in, I'm sure. So let's breathe for a second and let's talk about what I've learned during this year. Working on a commercial game is another beast. Game dev is hard, nothing new here. But working alone for so long on something you hope people will pay for is something else. I think the hardest part for me was keeping my interest for the game, especially with a game like Dashpong where the base mechanic is quite simple. I'm not going to lie, I've thought more than once about stopping it and doing something else. But I knew I had to finish it, at least to be proud of myself. It's very easy to feel like a fraud, especially when you arrive in such a complex field like game dev without prior experience or degree. I told myself many times that I wasn't legitimate, and the only way to prove myself wrong was to finish this game and sell it. Going from an idea to a finished product is hard, and it's a huge accomplishment. I thought this would give me confidence and would prove to me, my community, my friends, and my family that I was capable of doing it. Now that my game is released, I feel confident. At least I know I'm capable of bringing an idea to market. Having ideas is easy for me. I even said that ideas are free, but sticking with them long enough to turn them into reality is really where the hard part lies. No idea is the perfect one, and it's only interesting if it's turned into something people can enjoy. You might have the craziest, most interesting idea in your head. If it stays there, it's worth nothing. I believe that an idea should be brought to life, even if it has to be different than one you imagined. In fact, it will be different. Confronting your ideas to reality will change them, but for the good, because it will force you to make them reality. Another thing I've learned while working on Dashpong is that more than a cool idea, it's crucial to enjoy your idea. What I mean is, Dashpong was a cool idea to me, but in retrospect, I wasn't that excited for it. I enjoy local multiplayer games, but not that much. The majority of my life, I've played online multiplayers with friends, and in the recent years, I've been playing solo for most of the time. I enjoy fast-paced, movement-based games. I love shooters, FPSs like Doom. I enjoyed weird mashups that are action-packed like Rollerdrome. Dashpong is not that, and once the novelty of the mechanic wore down, I was left with a game that made me feel meh. Don't get me wrong, I love Dashpong, and I think it's a cool game, but I wish I didn't spend that much time on it. If I were to redo it, I would maybe go with this idea, but do more work before actually coding the rest of the game. What I wanted for Dashpong was not clear enough, and I believe that with a clear vision, it could have been made in 6 months, no problem. I have to remind myself though, that this was my first real commercial release, so it's normal that I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Everything was new, and I had to learn a lot. I could talk about all of that much longer. So What does this mean for the future? I'll keep it short for now because the video is already super long, and let's be real, you want to hear about money. Don't worry, it's the next chapter. To be completely honest with you, right now I'm not exactly sure what I'll do next, like in the next month or two. I have some updates planned for Dashpong, and I still have work to do to release it on the YEAR Arcade and the Atari VTS. I'm also in discussion to bring it to consoles, at least on the Switch. Something for sure is that I want to continue making games, but I think I need my next game to have a short dev cycle, like few months maximum. I also want to do VR, but the ideas I have for now are either feasible but not super interesting to me, or interesting but too complex. I also want to work on courses and push my YouTube channel further, so maybe I'll take some time to do that and prototype stuff on the side. As you can see, it's not totally clear. The only certain thing is that I will continue doing this, because this is what I love, and as long as I can sustain it, I'll do it. If you're still here, you want to hear about money, so let's break it down. Last year, I made 2,970 euros gross, with everything combined. This year was not focused on making money, to be honest, but more on bringing this game to market. All the numbers I will give you are gross revenue. We need to remove taxes from them. Also, I converted everything to euro because that is the currency in France. I got 25 euros from itch, mainly from people being super generous and making donations. 85 euros from Twitch, mostly subs. 141 euros from Coffee, thanks a lot for your donations, especially Furet for his recurring donation. And I finally got 2,059 euros from YouTube ads and 650 euros from sponsors. This brings the total to 2,970 euros gross, so around 2,316 euros after the 22% tax that I pay. That would be around 193 euros per month. Ouch. As you can see, it's far from enough to survive, at least in France. Next goal? Make 2,300 euros, but per month. I don't want to mislead you. I'm in a very lucky position where I have some money in the bank thanks to my previous work, I don't have to pay rent thanks to my mom, and I got some monthly help from the government. Without that, it would be impossible for me to do what I do full time. I would have to work at least a part-time job or do freelance quite often. I'm super privileged to be in that position, and I understand that lots of you will never have this kind of opportunity. I'm super grateful, and that's why I'm trying my best to make enough money to sustain myself. I want to thank you again, the viewers, for supporting me, and of course the donors on Twitch, Coffee, and Itch. You don't have to, but you decided to support me, and I'm super thankful for that. I'm breaking down the numbers even if I don't have a lot to show, because I think being transparent from the beginning can be helpful to other devs. I hope to bring these numbers up in the future, and for that I have 3 main axes and 1 optional. First, I'll continue doing YouTube, because this can be a regular source of income with the ad revenue and especially with the sponsors. I don't really count streaming in here, because Twitch doesn't pay a lot for now, and I'm not even sure I'll continue being an affiliate, to be honest. Second, I hope to make some money with my games. Note the plural here. Even if I don't expect Dashpong to bring a lot of revenue, I want to create other games, and probably with a shorter release cycle. In the end, I would like my games to be my main source of income. The third axis is courses. I've been using Godot for about 3 years now, and I've learned a ton. I will continue to provide free tutorials on my second channel, but I think I can provide some great learning resources in the form of paid courses. I'm still unsure about what it will be exactly, but I will try for sure. Finally, the fourth axis is freelance. I have skills in development, but now I'm starting to also have skills specifically in game dev. I said this source of income is optional because I'd like to focus on creating videos and making games first. If I'm making enough money with these, I don't need to do freelance. The time I spend doing freelance is time I can't use to make my own things. I think it could be interesting to work on paid projects. It can be interesting technically and provide some financial stability. Creating games for museums or classrooms, for example, would be cool. If you're someone looking for game dev work in freelance, don't hesitate to email me. We can discuss it. My email is on my channel page. And that's the end of the video. Thanks to everyone who's been following my journey. Thanks to my community for the support and help. I'll see you in another video. Check out Dashpong. Bye!